Hello, hello, good evening. Welcome to SkepTalk and our drummer, Susan. If this is your first time here on the line, this is our call-in show, and Monday nights is SkepTalk. Tonight, ghosts, ghouls, vampires, psychics, psychic ghosts, ghost psychics, alien ghost psychics. That's what we want you to call in. If you know one of them, or you are a ghost psychic alien, please call in on whatever phone or automatic writing system that you have access to so we can chat about it, because Susan and I, we're just a little skeptical. Just a little, right?
Yeah, how you doing today?
Not bad, not bad. People might be able to hear it in my throat. It's just a little bit off. I've been fighting something burning the back of my throat since about Thanksgiving time. But fortunately, my Thanksgiving was thankfully wonderful. Family was here, everything perfect, weather perfect. The flights actually worked, so everything good. How about yourself?
We did Thanksgiving on Saturday. I did psychic stings all day, Wednesday, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. We're working on a psychic sting, and it was draining, absolutely draining. So I'm put away my Thanksgiving stuff, and Christmas is coming pretty soon. But I'm not really big into holidays that much. But I just get the family together. We played games. We had turkey. It's great.
All right, and you probably also want to talk a bit about the psychic sting stuff, because some of our viewers may not know you, Susan. So could you talk a little bit about yourself and the reasons all psychics should be afraid of you, and they, for some reason, don't see you coming?
I know, isn't that weird? I just don't get it. So I've been doing psychic stings for a long time. My partner, Mark Edward, who's up in one of these pictures over here, wherever, and there's a book he wrote over there. Right there, psychic blue. Anyway, James Randi was a friend of ours. He was the great debunker, the amazing Randi, and we were involved in a lot of different kinds of things. Mark died in 2024 on International Psychics Day, by the way. And then I have, by myself, with people that I know, have been working on stinging psychics. We know that they are not real, and we are exposing the methods, and we're trying to expose them. I also run a Wikipedia project that's quite popular. It's called Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia. We're trying to rewrite and write and maintain all Wikipedia pages concerning science, scientific skepticism, claims of the paranormal, and in all languages possible. As we know, pseudoscience does not stop at the border of English. So we've written a little over 2,000 Wikipedia articles. We have over 200 million page views of the articles we've written. And we have fingers and pies everywhere. So I am a huge, and I'm also the ambassador for Center for Inquiry's PsyCon. This is a big conference that comes up every year in, now it's going to be held in Buffalo this year in June. So it's, and then it'll be Philadelphia after that. So it's a big conference. I help run the Sunday papers with Rob Palmer, who's been on this show before, the well-known skeptic. And I'm just busy all the time. And I write for Skeptical Inquirer, and I'm also on the Skeptic Zone podcast.
Well, Susan, I think I have to make you a bit busier, because one of the things I do is biblical studies. It's not like the area that I'm professionally trained in, but I'm a member of the Society of Biblical Literature. I've done publication, and they always have the big annual meeting for the Society of Biblical Literature the weekend before Thanksgiving. And this year it was in Boston. So instead of having to fly, I just had to get on the subway to go there and go to the talk, give my talks. Few of them were a bit of a doozy for me. Some of them really interesting and informative, but one really stood out. They were wanting to talk about anomalous events in antiquity. And they started it by trying to talk about and justify the reality of this by looking at the nature study of Uri Geller.
Uri Geller? Oh, give me a break.
Yeah, so
he's interesting to study for being the mentalist magician that he is, and the phenomena of how he's able to pull the wool over so many people's eyes. But I mean, that's interesting, but he wasn't. He's a magician. What is this? Is 2025? Why would somebody still believe that? He wasn't.
Yeah, I believe me, I was sitting there and I was just like, okay, this talk is going differently than I expected. It wasn't, oh, here's how magicians today fool us. Here's how they might have done in the past. It's, oh no, these things are real phenomenon. Whether they're supernatural or not, we'll be coy about. But it means that when we see these stories in antiquity, especially in the Bible, it's like, oh, I guess we shouldn't be so skeptical of it. It looks like these things are real. We have, these really great analyses, like 1 in a million chances that this could happen statistically. Yeah, I was surprised by this. When I talked to some of my other friends at the conference as well, a lot of their eyes just went like that was the point of discussion.
Oh,
So
that's
unfortunately, I
fun.
wasn't there. You weren't there with me, Susan. So I had to rack my brain and remember. It's like, okay, wait a minute. He's bringing up Project Stargate and how it was CIA funded. Therefore, it's authentic rather than they closed it down because they realized, hey, we just spent like 20 years and millions of dollars wasting money with nothing to show for it. But there's one statistician who said, hey, it's actually decent statistics, rather than the other ones that basically said, guys, stop. And they stopped. It's very much like the worst of what happens with psychics. If you remember the hits, forget the misses, and do the same thing with the publication paper. Like, oh, here's the paper that shows it. Here's the 20 that show why that wasn't a good study. Oh, I guess everything looks great now. Yeah, I was really surprised that that was being presented. That isn't even normal for the Society of Biblical Literature, let alone skeptic groups. So
Well,
gotta work it out for it.
Mark used to do lectures. Mark is a mentalist, was a mentalist and a magician, and he would do these for religious groups too. There was magicians that were focused on magic, and all their magic was like, let's turn the water into wine. They knew they were doing a magic trick, but they were trying to use it as a way of proselytizing.
Yeah.
And Jesus did this for reals. And you're like, but they're doing it faking. They're faking it. And then they'd say that Jesus, it was just amazing. But I have a lot of empathy for these people because they probably it's never dawned on them that Uri Geller was anything but a spoon bending, opportunist kind of whatever they think he is. They just probably just never dawned on them that, wait a second, this was debunked ages ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the military and the government paid for him, and why would they do that if he was fake? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they did do that. And in the same way, with Project Blue Book, it's like we got to investigate all these UFOs and then eventually look at the pile of reports and realize, oh, okay, so almost everything here is explained by the moon, the planet Venus, and everything else, aircraft, and not enough information to say.
It's amazing, just amazing. Oh my gosh! So you're in Boston? That's cool. Or you're close to
Yes.
Boston?
Yeah, I live just north of Boston.
I'm on the other side of the planet from you.
More or less. Though, funny enough, last year the Society of Biblical Literature was in Southern California. It moves around every year, so it rotates. So, I was in San Diego last year, where I saw a couple of my coworkers as well. So, good times, good times.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful here right now. I'm in California, nowhere near Southern California. California's this big state. It turns out, really big. I hear it's getting bigger every day with these earthquakes. We had earthquakes the other day. Nothing predicted, of course, by any psychic, but of course.
I did send one summer in the Bay Area, where I was professionally looking for aliens. I was an intern at the SETI Institute for one summer as part of their education programs there through my university, and spent at least a couple weeks driving up north to Northern California, where they had their telescope array of the Allen Telescope Array, it's called, named after Paul Allen, because he basically wrote them a gargantuan check to build a lot of telescopes and doing a lot of normal astronomical science, as well as feeding the signals into a bank of computers to see if there are any phones ringing on the other side of the galaxy.
Yes, Bay Area is very close to me. I'm close to SETI. That's kind of where I'm at, is up right below San Jose in the Bay Area, where the weather is beautiful and we grow all your vegetables.
Not too many vegetables growing around here right now.
I just picked these flowers out of my garden. No, pointing the wrong way. Yeah, I just picked the flowers. Roses are blooming in my garden. There's some geraniums. Oops. There's some geraniums and all kinds of stuff. I said, and there's California poppies in there, but they're closing up because it's kind of nighttime. They'll open up in the day and they're so beautiful. But yeah, everything's still blooming here. I mean, I hear there's this thing called climate change, but that's a bunch of bunk. Of course, we know that, right?
As
I've
we
got
know, it
spring
was
flowers.
invented by the Chinese to sell more. I'll get back to you what they're trying to sell.
But that's what's good. That's what they say. I tell you, I can't even believe it. But anybody who gardens knows that there is something up. I've got tomatoes. I can go out and pick tomatoes right now. They're still growing. They've been there for some of my plants. I had a tomato plant that's on its fourth year. I just finally pulled it out this year. That's not normal. No,
Now,
but
of course, we're talking about
I
normal.
get to enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you might be talking about what's normal, but tonight, call in if you want to talk about paranormal. See, that's what we call a transition. So this is a
Yay, I
call-in
like
show.
that. But
Phone number down here, 720-619-2288, or the web link in the description here on the YouTube. We got one caller already in the queue. Before we hop to that, though, one other thing I wanted to highlight. Susan, the last time you were on and you talked about guerrilla skeptics, you got at least a couple volunteers, right?
I think I had some people approach me. People who want to join the Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia project, please get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger and friend me on Facebook. The training takes about 4 months. It's done over Facebook, and because you have to be put into a secret cabal, that's where everybody trains. There's pre-training. I did get a bunch of people who reached out, but I don't remember if anybody actually finished up, went through the training. We're a heavy volunteer thing. I mean, it's going to take you months to learn. You're going to have to be trained. We teach you how to do it correctly. And then when you're done, we expect you to work. And it's not for everybody, but people, we really need the help, especially people who have backgrounds in hard science. Because I mean, we can't work on Wikipedia pages if we don't understand I can't write about fish or botany or chemicals or anything like that. We mainly focus on people and books and things that are general that we can do. But yeah, I would love to have more followers. Please come and join my Wikipedia project. Oh my gosh, there's so many Wikipedia pages that need to be improved.
All right. I want to make that call of action here at the beginning and throughout as well, because, yeah, you definitely have a lot of work ahead of you for all the stuff that needs to be debunked or rebunked. I don't know how many other prefixes we have to add to bunk here about some of the stuff that's out there. But now also more than ever.
Grok
Yeah.
and all the AI. I mean, everything is just pulling off of Wikipedia. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if we don't do this right, what are kids going to plagiarize over time? And what is Grok and all those others going to do? I mean, they're going to dry up if we don't have these pages right. So we got to get it right. So yeah, please join us.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Even if you don't use Wikipedia, Grok does, ChatGPT does, Google does. So without doubt, whatever goes in Wikipedia is going to be sent out across the interwebs to everyone doing any kind of search. So if you want people to get accurate information, Susan and the Guerrilla Skeptics are trying to do a big chunk of that when it comes to the stuff that's on the edge of science, to put it very kindly. And, well, as you can imagine, that edge is large, and we do not want it in charge. So, with that, how about we take our first caller? Ready, Susan?
I'm ready. I'm sitting
Right.
down. I'm all ready.
Okay. All right. Good thing you're sitting down. So our first caller is Maureen, pronoun she, her. She is an atheist from Canada and wondering, why aren't all deceased people ghosts? Maureen, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
You are
Well,
on.
this is a little tongue in cheek because I don't believe in ghosts. But I'm on, how can anybody believe in ghosts if everybody's not allowed to, or not experiencing seeing ghosts?
Well, I have an answer.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if you read Harry Potter, they say the Harry Potter says that only some people can be ghosts because you have to do something and prepare something before you can be a ghost. And if you become a ghost, then you're missing something. There's something that's missing that you're not going to get to experience later on. I suppose it's like heaven or something. So you have to make the decision beforehand, before you die, that you want to become a ghost. That's what Harry Potter world would say. And that's
Is that? Oh, sorry. Is that a view that a lot of people hold? Like not just Harry Potter came from, or?
I don't think they have a good answer, and I think that if they had an answer, it would be different from person to person to person. I don't think it's like with the psychic world. Nobody seems to be able to come up with anything consistent. They all kind of plagiarize each other a little bit, but since there's no evidence of any of that, it's just your Harry Potter is just as good as any other kind of reason.
I guess.
And Maureen,
Wouldn't
you say
everybody want it? Okay, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and Maureen, while your question, you might have said it's tongue in cheek, but here's the thing. I know people have been having that same sort of question for a long time. I remember hearing about this before, and I just double checked. There was a Chinese philosopher, Wang Cheng, from about 2,000 years ago, asking the same kind of questions. Like, hey, if ghosts are real, shouldn't we just be absolutely inundated with them? Because there's definitely way more dead people than living people. They should be all over the place. If they could provide all this reliable testimony, why aren't they showing up in court and saying, hey, here's the person who murdered me? These sorts of, simple things. So it's like, yeah, this sort of skepticism has been around for a while, and the responses have been ghosts are magic. So they have properties that we can't explain, but they're sufficient to hide away in ways that are just beyond our understanding. Therefore, it's totally legit to believe it, even if the evidence is less than ideal.
They tell me in the world.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say when I question psychic work or anything of the sort, they say it doesn't work that way. So that's the answer I get.
It sounds like you have to be somebody special to be able to be a ghost. So I guess we're all not equal. Because wouldn't everybody want to be a ghost?
I don't know. Considering so often, at least in fiction, the ghosts are around because of some terrible thing that happened to them and they just can't let it go and they want to actually be either in the proper afterlife, heaven or hell, have you. Bodiless existence is just somehow extremely unpleasant. And you can imagine if I was just floating around and I couldn't interact with my relatives and they just acted like I'm not even there, I don't know. I think that would kind of drive me insane. I think non-existence would be preferable to that. It's almost like a vegetative state, but even worse.
Yeah, I want to move on to asking the big questions from the big famous historians, and that's what I want to do. I want to go hang out with Agatha Christie, and Eleanor Roosevelt. I want to hang out with them. So if we're on Earth and I'm just going to watch people watching, TV and hanging out and watching sports ball and stuff like that, I don't think I'd find that all that interesting. I think I would rather be over in the afterlife, hanging out with them. I think that's what I would rather do.
Yeah. If you couldn't interact, there'd be no reason to be a ghost, I guess. Like you said,
you knock things
around. Yeah.
Okay,
well,
how interesting would that be? Great question, though, Maureen.
I have one other little thing I want to ask. The only maybe phenomenon that I think I've ever experienced, and it's when I'm wide awake, is when people call out your name and there's nobody there. What is that?
Pareidolia?
When you hear your name called.
Audio pareidolia, probably.
Oh, I didn't know there was a name to that.
Yeah, it's whenever, especially in white noise situations, like if you're in the shower or if you're driving and you're maybe even a little zoning a little bit yourself, you're just Maureen, I mean, that's not a very, if you think about that name, it's like Susan, it's just kind of or Aaron, it's it could sound like a lot of words. And so somebody else
Okay.
could be saying it, and it's just, it's, it's especially when you're not completely focused. And I think that's what it is, right? Audio pareidolia, Aaron?
That sounds about right to me. And I can even think back to even when I was like 5 years old and thinking, I just heard my mother's voice. She just called my name. So I, run up or down the stairs, whatever the case might be, to find out, nope, she didn't say anything. She was just, sitting there not speaking a word. But I distinctly thought I heard my name with her voice, but it wasn't there. So yeah, brains do that all the time, especially when there's all sorts of background noise and your brain is just trying to find some pattern and make sense of it because fundamentally, uh, the way we talk, we make noises. There's a pattern to it. Our brains figure it out, and then it becomes language. But it also means it will find any pattern anywhere, even when they don't exist. And there's been studies on that where you show people an image of just straight up static and tell them there's an image there. And especially when people are stressed, they're more likely to say they see an image in that static than when they're less stressed. So there seems to be, to some level, it's like the flight or flight response going on there, trying to find any possible danger, any sort of pattern, because it could be life or death and you need to react to it. That's just some of the things that brains do to us. Often it helps us get through the day, and other times it's the thing that gives us all that anxiety as we lay in bed.
It proves
That's
that your
true.
brain is working correctly, Maureen.
Oh, it does.
You are human. You have just proved that
Oh,
you are human and your brain is working correctly. So there you go.
well, that's good. Thanks. Okay, well, that's all I really had, guys. Have a good show.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you much. Good night.
Bye.
All right.
Aaron, we think we know, you and I have probably been in this for a long time. And so there's a lot of things that we assume everybody else knows. I remember when I was working years ago and somebody came into work and they put foil in the microwave. And I
Oh,
thought, doesn't everybody know you don't put foil in the microwave? And somebody apparently doesn't know that. And so, we have to have some empathy for people to realize that lots of people don't know sleep apnea or pareidolia and so on. It's a big world out there. They have their own set of expertise. Maureen's probably an expert in something I have no clue in. And so it's okay to ask questions. We like that.
absolutely. Yeah. One question you should not ask me though is how do you spell pareidolia? Because I am horrendous at spelling in general, let alone science words like that.
That's what our phones are for now. You ask.
Oh yes.
I've become a worse speller because of the ability to have spell check on things, but yeah.
Yeah. But and as you say, it's like, yeah, there's lots of knowledge of things we picked up that other people don't know. Some of it useful, some of it not. So for example, I know if I'm going to plug in a VCR into my CRT television, I need to set it to channel 3 so I can watch my tape of Star Wars again. Is that useful knowledge in the 21st century? Probably not.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to watch Red Dwarf.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh yeah. Red Dwarf on my old VHS tapes. Now I have the DVDs, but it was more fun when I keep them off the TV set.
I was among the things that was on television over this weekend was Terminator 2, and I remember in particular as a kid, the CG at that time looked absolutely amazing, and that's in part because I'm watching it on television. So terrestrial transmission, maybe a cable connection, but usually terrestrial transmission, so low quality there. On a CRT, even lower quality. So at best, it's 480 p for resolution, but more likely 360, which meant all the imperfections of CG in the early 90s completely invisible. So it just looked absolutely amazing. Now you watch it in high def or in Blu-ray, and all the imperfections are obvious now. So amazingly, bad CG looked better in the past than modern CG does. So modern problems.
I hardly ever watch TV. I hardly watch anything. I'm just absolutely avoid. I don't know any actors or actresses' names, but I did watch yesterday because we did the Sting. Was it yesterday? Was yesterday Sunday? No. Yeah, yesterday was
Yeah.
Sunday. We did a Sting yesterday. So when I was done with it, I was just drained, absolutely emotionally drained. So I watched chick flicks on Prime and Max, and I mean just stupid Christmas stuff. But they're years old and they're on the screen, and you can't. It's a high definition TV, and you can see all their makeup, the line, and everything. And I'm like, this is just so phony. I can't. I mean, I just watched all these psychics, the psychic do all this phony stuff, and now I'm watching this stuff on TV, and I said I'm going to go back and watch it on my on a bad computer or something because it's sad. I don't want to see the fakery. Sometimes I want to be fooled.
I just learned a fun fact as well. Now I have to go back and watch to see if I will notice. In the first Indiana Jones films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the scene where they have to go down to find the Ark and it's like filled with snakes. Apparently, they didn't have enough snakes to fill that space, so some of the snakes are actually like garden hoses or other black pipes.
Say it isn't so. No
Now, believe me, I
way.
did not notice that. But now, if I go back in high def, will I notice it now that I've been primed to look for it? I need to test that for myself.
I don't want to be ruined. That's going to ruin everything. I don't want to do that. That's evil. I don't want to know. I want to be in my bliss. I want to
Okay.
be just there. You know.
Well,
I
to
did
further,
watch Pluribus. Have you seen Pluribus? It's on Apple
I have
TV.
not watched
I
it yet.
did watch
No.
it the other day. Oh my gosh, it's really good. Severance
Um,
was
hmm.
fantastic, and now it's Pluribus. Anybody out there watching that, man, let me tell you, it's still in the beginning of the first season, but I really normally don't have anything else I can talk to anybody about unless it's like 30 years old. I just want to throw that reference out there to show it sounds like Susan might have a little bit of social knowledge that's going on in the world as far as TV. I mean, I could even name a couple football teams and stuff maybe if we really got into it. I don't know if it's football season, but
It is.
I know that there are teams that play. I could probably name a couple, but
Um,
I'm trying to stay relevant here, Aaron.
well, if we talk sports, I will be irrelevant most immediately because my knowledge is very, very poor, with the one exception. I'm originally from Michigan. Detroit Lions is our football team, and for whatever reason, they've had a deal to always play on Thanksgiving Day, even though they almost always lose. And they kept that tradition this year as well against Green Bay.
Oh, well, that's good. So you could bet on that. You know
Yeah,
that they're always
but
going to lose.
well, one, I don't bet, and two, it of course disappointed a lot of my family that they failed to win this time around.
You need to change families or something.
Not going to happen.
Hey, I won.
I
I
got
won
the
four
ones I want.
dollars. I won $4 in the lottery. I got $4. I cost me two, but I won. I have a $2 profit. Don't ask me how many times I played, but I have a ticket right now. It's in my purse. It might be the million. It might be the millions. 176 million. It might be. You know.
Well,
I say I'm paying $2 so I can live with a fantasy for a day or so.
well, as a week transition when it comes to making predictions, we have someone coming up in our queue who wants to talk about MK Ultra. So, how about we bring in John? Pronouns he, him, from Arizona, a theist, and saying that MK Ultra was a necessary evil. So, John, can you hear us?
Yes. Hey, how you doing?
Doing
Hi.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
So,
this is
John,
a.
oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go. I
Oh,
was gonna say this is all my personal opinion. Yeah, we can talk about MK Ultra if you like.
okay. So, for the sake of the audience and also for what you want to make claims about, can you say what you think MK Ultra was about, so that way we're all on the same page?
Yeah, it was an attempt of the intelligence agencies, primarily CIA, to control every aspect of human behavior and mind control. So what they were essentially looking for, they were looking for several things. One was a Manchurian candidate, which would have been somebody who had an alter personality that wasn't aware of what that personality was doing, so they couldn't be interrogated, right? So that was one objective, and the way they attained it early on was with torture, right? So things like electroshock, sleep deprivation, hallucinogens like LSD. So that was one objective. Another objective was the compromising of powerful businessmen and politicians and other powerful people as a means of being able to blackmail, using blackmail material on them. So essentially, that's what MK Ultra was in a summary. It started out in 1947 as Project Bluebird. In 1952, it shifted over to Project Artichoke. In 1953, the umbrella term we know as MK Ultra was created. They brought in Nazi scientists to the U.S. under Project Paperclip. So a lot of Nazi scientists went to work on NASA programs, but also mind control programs, and among other things. And there was also some other programs like MK Ultra and MK Naomi, but MK Ultra is the general broad term. So that's a brief summary of it.
Is it the men who stare at goats thing when there was a bunch of LSD used? With
related,
that,
yeah.
I think I believe Ray Hyman might have been tangentially related, involved in this. I think he did some kind of investigation on it.
I think that
the
was
name is
actually
obviously
Project
familiar.
Stargate, which came after.
Yeah, Stargate was, at first I was kind of nervous about talking about this because I didn't want to upset the deep state, but people just think I'm crazy, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, there was several, like I want to say there was a psychiatrist, I believe, at McGill Hospital in Canada. I want to say, I think his name was Ewan McGregor. And what he would do is it was called psychic driving. He used massive amounts of electroshock. He termed it wanting to wipe the slate clean. So the goal was to erase somebody's memory and be able to create an alternate personality. And really the reason I say that this was a necessary evil was because in the 1950s, the top military brass genuinely believed that a Soviet agent could be, for example, sitting in the audience of like a speech by President Eisenhower and read his mind. So that's kind of the basis of why they did these things. And then afterward, it started out as more torture-based, but then it actually shifted to more of a EMF frequency model. And this is where I would get into discussing people like Michael Aquino, who founded the Temple of Set in 1975. Are you familiar with Michael Aquino?
Mm-mm.
No.
No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so he was a high-ranking military intelligence officer, like I was saying, he founded the Temple of Set in 1975. He essentially was a Luciferian, right? And he wrote a book called Mind War, and this is where there's certain brain waves, right? Alpha, beta, delta, and theta that can actually manipulate human behavior. So that's another aspect of MK Ultra. And yeah, when I tell people about this, they just they don't really believe it. They think it's kind of too far out there to so I kind of like to think that I'm trying to be good and fight evil, but I sometimes wonder if I'm just like Don Quixote, where
I
I'm
don't
just
understand.
Don Quixote.
It obviously happened. The military was paying for this. I'm not sure I understand. I mean, the idea of somebody sitting there and reading somebody's mind, I mean, that's cold reading. How would you, especially if it wasn't tested? I mean, you could say the guy sitting there, I'm reading his mind. He's talking about how He wants to get up and go to the bathroom. His knee is hurting. God, his lower back is hurting. I wonder if my wife is cheating on me. I wonder if I could, what would, they're just, how would you test that, especially if you didn't have a test? But yeah, of course this happened. The government's done all kinds of stuff with mind control, and especially with LSD and all kinds of things, but it doesn't mean it's like worked. It just means that they tried it. So I don't understand what you're fighting against, unless you're just trying to make sure everybody knows about it. And there's Wikipedia
Well,
pages about it. It's
well,
not a
what
secret.
I've actually tried to most of the time, see, because like Michael Aquino is one of the people who actually brought me into believing that there's an afterlife. It's why I believe in God, right? Because I believe that if the occult is real and black magic works, then Lucifer is real and Lucifer controls the material world. So I'm trying to be with God, who is good. And I really have a hard time, like when I try to debate atheists on this, I have a really hard, they don't want to do it. Right. So, so to answer your question, where I think I'm fighting against, there is all kinds of, occult symbolism in Hollywood, right? Like, and music videos and MTV and Disney, the Eye of Set, right? The one eye symbolism is all over Hollywood. You also see a lot of images of Baphomets and pyramids. If you just look at, like I said, this is all my personal opinion, but if you just watch like the Lady Gaga video Applause, it's loaded with occult symbolism. So I say, why are they doing this? If it's not
You're
real,
seeing
why are they doing it
you're seeing occult symbolism. You've defined it as
everywhere?
being occult symbolism, whereas it has other meanings. I mean, I believe the eye that's on the dollar bill has a different kind of meaning. It might have been Masonic. I don't. There's all kinds, but it
Right.
sounds like you're trying to find. You're trying to. You're starting with a premise. I mean, you're starting with an answer, and now you're going back looking for ways of making it fit into this worldview. I mean, it sounds a little like somebody might have some OCD kind of mentality of trying to find. I'm not saying you have OCD. I'm just saying I can see that in a person who's got some sort of obsessive looking for patterns, when patterns are natural. Those are around us all the time. I mean, in the psychic world, they're constantly saying we're sending you coins, we're sending you music, we're sending you birds, we're sending you butterflies, feathers, but those things exist. So they're already there. So you're finding the pattern and deciding it's some sort of occult thing. But I trust me, atheists I don't think there's any occult stuff going on with us. We don't think of it that way. I don't know, Aaron, maybe you've got your pyramid up somewhere in the house and over the bananas or something. I don't know, to keep them ripe, or I don't know, but it's not in my worldview. And I've been an atheist for a long time, and that's just, we don't do occult stuff. That's whatever. It's a game. It's a trick. It's just fun. Like a Ouija board would just be fun for me.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty
Yeah,
similar that a lot of the
I-
symbols that, like, when atheist groups do use those things, like, for example, up in Salem, you'd have the official headquarters for the Church of Satan. Maybe they have a different name, but inside there they have a statue of Baphomet. And is it because they actually worship this thing? No, because they know, hey, this sort of thing drives Christians nuts, and the whole point is trying to poke and prod in those sorts of symbolic ways. Not that there's any actual truth to that. In many ways, it's the same sort of thing, like a whole bunch of like rock bands in the 70s and 80s adding umlauts to their name because it makes it more metal. Does it actually control the universe, or does having German diacritic marks somehow make things cooler? Well, that was the idea. It wasn't to actually control the elements. It was to play along and saying, this is how we show that we are a hard rock band. So anytime I happen to listen to Blue Oyster Cult, it's not because I am trying to leverage them in my own psychic war. It's because I'm a Godzilla fan, and one of their tracks is that.
I love Blue Oyster Cult. They're great.
So you all think maybe I'm just like Don Quixote. Well, I'd also point to Aleister Crowley, Anton LaVey, Helena Blavatsky, Albert Pike, and are you all familiar with Bohemian Grove? Do you know what that is?
Is it a plant?
No, Bohemian Grove refers to it's like in July, very rich and powerful men get together for approximately 2 weeks, and a lot of adult activities go on there, so to speak. And Richard Nixon talked about this. He used to talk about I won't say it because it's kind of a slur what Nixon said, but you can look up if you just do a search on Nixon on Bohemian Grove, you'll see what I'm talking about. He says it's just awful, But essentially, there's a bunch of very powerful grown men hanging out in the woods naked, worshiping a giant owl known as Moa.
Okay, I kind of doubt that. Most
This is starting to ring a
wealthy
bell
men
for
would
me.
probably not be out there in the woods with naked.
Yeah, this is starting to ring a bell for
It's
me because I
conspiracy
remember
theories.
my source for
Fun.
this is unfortunately Alex Jones. In
There you
one of
go.
his earlier
Correct.
documentary, found footage, whatever sorts of things, was going around and trying to infiltrate this and take video of this. But again, I think time has shown that Alex Jones is not a reliable source of information about things political or otherwise. So I would be very cautious about the things claimed in those sorts of circles because they tend to not be all that critical, and they are said to continue to feed a narrative, and in the case of Alex Jones, to also help him sell supplements.
Yeah, well, it's funny, but you just reminded me when Alex Jones. I remember he was talking to David Gergen, right? He was a very high level, government official to several presidents, and Alex Jones was asking him about I think it was called the cremation of care, and David Gergen he got a little bit awkward. He's like, "Well, that's none of your damn business," It's kind of look. I don't.
Mind you, though, again, your source though is Alex Jones, who basically got shown up on the stand to show that, hey, he is willing to lie for money. That's why he's lost billions of dollars in these lawsuits, because he claimed things that either he didn't know, didn't care that they were true or not, or even knew that they weren't the case, and he was trying to play it up for the sake of keeping his audience on his side. So I would be very cautious. If that is your source and he is knowingly saying these sorts of things and has been caught out in a court of law, with lots of records showing that he will lie for money, you ought to not just trust what he says.
Right. Just conspiracy theories are just dangerous. They're sinkholes. Sinkhole of your time. They're sinkhole of your life. Just, if people start saying, hey, John, this is pretty conspiracy theory minded, maybe have a thought that maybe they might be telling you something to find something else to do, because those are sinkholes. It's only going to ruin your relationships with people. You're going to find that nobody wants to hear it, after a certain point. I don't know. I don't think those are healthy. I don't think it's a healthy path.
Well, sometimes conspiracy theories do turn out to be true, though, right? I mean, for example,
that doesn't make all of them true just because one has been true or two has been true. I mean, Bozo was a clown. There's lots of clowns, but it doesn't mean everybody is. I mean, it's just no. Just because one conspiracy theory can be found, conspiracy. This is way out there. I mean, this is from the 1947, and you're still talking about it as if it's like around. I say move on.
Well, I don't.
Come on.
I don't think it ever ended, to be honest with you. But look, it sounds like you all probably think I'm kind of like Don Quixote. So I guess I would just say, do you believe? Like, I tried to read my aura sometimes, and somebody put a curse on me once, and I thought that worked too. So I don't know. You all might be.
Curses work if you believe curses work. So if you believe that somebody put a curse on you, then it works.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the story if you'd like. Otherwise, it's okay. I don't have to. And as far as like an aura goes, do you believe in auras? Like reading your aura? Like no. I do that sometimes. Like I'll be stand in front of the mirror, and sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes it'll take 10, 20, 30 minutes, and I'll just stand there, and my eyes will kind of go blurry, and I'll kind of
Yeah.
have like different colors kind of come up a quarter inch above my head. It's usually a white light, primarily white. There's probably a little blue, maybe a little yellow and silver in there too. Do you think that's all
Well,
nonsense too?
John, let me just say, okay, so they've tried to test this, and what they do is they take a board that doesn't meet at the top, like you got a 6 foot tall man, and then the board is 6 foot 1 inch or whatever it is, and then they test it by having a person there randomly. Somebody is there behind the board, and sometimes they're not, and then they have people on the other side saying, "Can you see the aura?" Because if there's an aura projected behind, if there's somebody standing there, there should be an aura if you believe in that. And they can't test. They can't. There's no science that says that the aura is there or not. What I'm saying is, if you're messing with your eyes by staring at something, that's a scientific thing you're doing to your eyes. Just that's not. That doesn't, just because you can see color after defocusing your eyes after straining them for 20 minutes does not mean there's an aura. That's you're hurting your eyes probably. I don't see that. That doesn't mean anything. Sorry.
It's a little bit similar to bringing up old technology. If you have access to an old CRT television, if you take a magnet to the screen, you're going to really mess up the image. And that's because we understand, of course, the way the thing works. It's literally shooting electrons, put a magnetic field there. The electrons don't go where they're supposed to because of that magnet. And you can get all sorts of weird images. It would be a very weird thing for me to take a television and put a magnet next to it to mess up the image and say, this is giving me better insight, or this is making the television now HD. It's like, no, you're wrecking things. And whatever you're seeing there isn't like the intended signal that's coming along. If you're doing something like that with your eyes to basically make them less reliable, you might be learning something about your physiology. That's one of the things Isaac Newton did. He would take a pin to his eyes to basically deform it to see what would happen, so we would understand better the optics of the eye and its limitations. Isaac was a bit of a goofy guy, but at least we got some good science out of him while he was around, and also some calculus. Whether you like calculus or not, Newton got it to you. So, but nonetheless,
right. I wouldn't be doing that, John. Yeah. To be honest with you, I think you should go and look into the physiology of the eye, and I mean there's so much science out there these days. Especially go to YouTube and try to look at the science side of this. There are explanations for what you're talking about. And you've already got all this back knowledge. So go dive into it and find that there's a rich community out there that understands this and who will explain it to you so that you can understand it better and explain it to people and be able to come on and say, hey, I used to think auras were a thing. Now I understand the physiology of the eyeball and what happens when we disassociate and stare at something for long enough. Wouldn't that be interesting to know why that happens? And why do you see color? Because the answer's out there, and it has nothing to do with metaphysics or the paranormal. It's science.
Well, perhaps. I mean, and you think all this this one-eye symbolism in Hollywood movies and all that, you think it's, what are they just, is it not a thing, or are they just doing it for the hell of it, or what's your take on that?
It's marketing. It sells. I have a Wikipedia editing team. The group is, we are in a secret cabal. I call it a secret cabal. It's a joke. It's something that is just there for funsies. Go look
They're
into
trolling?
why.
What'd you say, John?
Oh, I said you think they're trolling? Oh, I said
Sometimes
you think
it's
just trolling.
Sometimes it's humor. Sometimes they put it in for trying to get marketing, Sometimes it's and if you're looking for it because you have decided this is an occult symbol, you're going to find it. That's how our brains work. Our brains are freaking amazing. They're far more superior than any computer you've ever seen. Talk about the most amazing thing in the world. Our brains are incredible. And we seek out patterns. We find patterns everywhere. That's why you can look at a piece of bark and you can see a face on it, because our brains are fantastic at that. It doesn't mean there's a face there, but it means your brain is working, John. And that's what's going on. Your brain is doing amazing things. Go learn about your brain. It's so interesting.
I'll give you just one more example, and then if you want to move on, that's just fine. Have you ever seen the movie The American with George Clooney?
I don't watch hardly anything. No, I've never heard of him. I think I've heard of George Clooney.
Ever seen American? Okay.
I'm-
Well, he's an assassin in that movie, and when there's a scene of him working out, and he's doing pull-ups, right? He's got like a butterfly tattoo, kind of maybe a little below his neck or so. And what that is, what I read into it was that's a reference to Project Monarch, which was part of MK Ultra. And if you look into Project Monarch, it is very, very disturbing.
Well,
It
look,
involved,
John, you're finding patterns. It might have been a butterfly about his grandmother. It could have been 1,000 other things, but you are looking for the pattern because you want it to fit into this narrative. It is, you are seeking it out. The butterfly could be there because it might have been his daughter's favorite thing. The most popular tattoo is something with wings, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. Tinkerbell, dragonflies, everything, everything. So it could have been a thing put in there by the TV people for like an Easter egg. It might have had some reference to something that happens. If you're seeking out patterns to fit your narrative, then you are doing that. You and your brain are doing that. That does not mean it's true. It's a butterfly tattoo.
Yeah,
so maybe he's from Pacific Grove where they have the monarch butterflies.
Yeah, I do want to say that I appreciate y'all being cordial and polite. I tried to talk to Matt last night. He was like a super grouch. No, just my opinion, and I've talked to Justin a few, I'm talking about Matt and Justin on your show there, and I talked to Justin on TikTok, and they wouldn't engage it, and what I'm trying to say is they were grouches, but you all have been very polite, and I appreciate that. And I'm not trolling. I actually believe all this stuff.
Well, no, John, that's cool. Thank you for calling in. John, I believed all sorts of stuff. I mean, absolutely doodly. And then you start to educate yourself and you meet people who have interesting conversations and they open your eyes to new ways of thinking about things. And that's how we grow. So you're on the path. Just keep going on the path and keep learning. Because, yeah, we need people who are thinkers. You sound like a thinker. Go for it.
Well,
go learn about the brain. And I would happy to hear more from you.
And perhaps most importantly, whatever you want to look into, the important thing, because it is so easy to do, whether it's science, history, politics, or anything else, whatever you try to investigate, try to actively find things against the things you believe, because it is so easy to find things that agree with you. And the thing that you really want to do is actually test those things. What can you do to actually find and say, hey, is it the case that this is true? What can I do to actually check that this is actually false? If you are not actively doing that, you are more likely to have confirmation bias and go down the rabbit holes and end up a little bit lonely and those sorts of things. The best thing about science is not what it tries to prove is right. It's that it tries to prove itself wrong. And when it fails to, we actually find that to be reliable.
Right. Thank you for calling in, John.
All right. I went to a few different places.
This is fun. I love talking to people. You guys got to have me on more often. This is great. I want to talk to more people. Is there more people who want to talk to us? I don't get you guys out there. I don't get to see no screens or nothing. I'm just sitting here just like you guys are. I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Aaron's the controller here. He's got the special magic power.
Now we're really in trouble.
I'm just hanging in here. I have nobody gave me any instructions, so I'm just going to do what I please.
All right. Well, so we got a few more people who are in the queue now. So people are coming in. But again, if you want to call in and talk to us about ghosts, psychics, aliens, alien psychics, ghosts, psychics, psychic ghosts, any other combination of words, Bigfoot, psychic, ghost, aliens. There we go. We're gonna really the agglutinative psychic phenomena is what we're gonna create here tonight. Just patch it all on together. All right. So we got a few folks in the queue, and we do try to prioritize believers, and we got a couple in there right now. And this will also be right up your alley, Susan. So I'm going to bring in Draper, pronouns he, him, theist from Pennsylvania, and wants to suggest that psychics are not necessarily fake. So, Draper, first off, am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Super. All right. Cool. Draper,
tell
us about...
Tell me, convince me.
Wait. Actually, hold on. Okay.
All right.
Draper, go ahead and talk to us about what you want to say about psychics.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, once upon a time, I wouldn't have believed in believe me, I didn't believe in any of that woo-woo stuff. You know what I mean? It was I roll my eyes or whatever. But anyways, I dated this girl. Okay. And it was really weird. Like I'd be in a completely separate room from her, and I'd get, like upset or something. I can't find a tool. I'm working on my kitchen, and she just comes storming into the room and asks me what's wrong. Right? I'm like, it's nothing. Right? There are a couple times we're fighting in the car. I'm just going to give you a couple examples, but it's happened chronically for a while before I ask her about it. And then one time she says, we were kind of fighting a little bit, and in my head, if I call her a bitch, right? And she says, and then she just gets mad at me like I just called her a bitch. I'm like, I didn't call you nothing. And we're going back and forth, and she's convinced that I just called her that when I know I didn't say it out loud. So then finally I ask her, I'm like, dude, you keep doing that. Like, what's going on? This girl will go if you ask her to scratch her back, she would scratch her back exactly where it needs to get scratched. And she would like her hand would move to the spot where when it moves, when someone scratches your back and you're like to the left, she would just do that without you telling her. It was uncanny. So I ask her about this, and she starts telling me all about it. And then I start to see it, right? So I start taking her these classes, right? They're like these, purely for her, I'm not into this stuff, you know what I mean? So we start going to these things. They're called psychic development classes, where you could develop your psychic abilities, right? It's very silly, but she was into it. She loved it. But the problem was she was going around the room doing everybody's readings and stuff, having people crying and all kinds of crazy crap, like assimilating accents from people that had been dead for years, from people that she couldn't possibly. It was really, really strange, right? And she was basically better than the instructor of the class, if you will, right? So one day I'm sitting there, and they have us do some kind of meditation or whatever, where we're sitting there and we're going through the forest, and then our spirit guide is going to be sitting on a bench, right? And I don't know, in my mind, my grandma was sitting there, right? So I sit down next to my grandma, and she's going to have a message for you. And she says, keep going. You're going the right way, right? That's what she says, right? So then later on in the class, one of the people comes over, and they're supposed to tell you stuff. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that woman said something that she's getting something about. I don't know. It's something like, keep going. You're going the right way. It was really, really like, come on, man. You know what I mean? So then I actually go over to another gentleman while I'm sitting there. I'm supposed to be holding her necklace, or his grandmother's necklace. I'm holding his grandmother's necklace, and I'm supposed to be able to come up with something about his grandmother, right? And I'm telling you, I'm just going along with this crap because for my, it's like a date, right? And I'm like, dude, I swear to God, I think I know what your grandma looked like. And he's like, well, what'd she look like? So she looked like an old lady. I don't know, but she had like a distinct, and I don't want to say this because it almost sounds insulting, but it's the only distinguishing quality. She had this huge bump on her nose. It was an abnormal bump on her nose, and I could see that. And I'm like, I don't want to say that because it almost looked unreal. And I'm like, I must be wrong. And then he just nods and agrees. He shows me a picture after the thing, and I swear to God, the picture that he showed me was exactly his grandmother's face. Now, I'm not claiming to be psychic or nothing like that. I don't know, but these people are saying that anybody can develop this or whatever, and I never continued on with it. I eventually broke up with that girl. But I mean, I've seen things that are irrefutable. Like, and I'm telling you, the only thing anybody could do to convince me that what I saw wasn't what I saw would be like they'd have they'd probably have an easier time convincing me my mom's not real. And at the same time, I don't really expect anyone to necessarily believe anything that I'm saying. But I got to say, you have to think that I'm lying in order to, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So anyways, I just was going to share that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that means to any of you. And I've seen plenty of fakers too. I've seen lots of people pretending. There was a lot of posers at those events. Like they were, like those people were, a lot of them were full of crap. There's no doubt about it, pretending stuff and all this. And then I have a whole bunch of stories when I was in that world. I was doing hypnosis for, it was like, it doesn't matter. It was something I was doing for some side money. It was like a little side hustle I had years ago. And while I was in that world with those people, I saw the strangest things, man. Just like really, really bizarre stuff that really there's, like, I don't know what the explanation is, you know what I mean? But it wasn't anything. And I've read science papers about psychic phenomenon because I tried telling this to my friend who's a scientist, and he sends me all these papers. I read them all. You get to the bottom of it. One of the things that they say is that they're all inconclusive, and at this point they can't verify the existence of this. But everything that they tested, and if you read the abstract and you read what they tested, it's like they didn't really test anything that was even viable. It's like an untestable phenomenon. You know what I mean? Or the way that they went about testing it was as if they weren't even trying to figure out if this was real or not. Like, at least not to my understanding of what it is. Like, it seems like they just had some conception of psychic phenomena, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That was just not even close to what anybody who actually has that ability would think of it as, if that makes any sense. So, all right, I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. Did you hang up on me?
No, I'm here listening.
You are still here. You've been just intently listening.
Okay.
Where do you want to start, Aaron?
Yeah, I was going to say, so Draper, obviously, it's going to be a bit hard to assess your personal stories because, well, we weren't there to witness it. And if we were, I'm pretty sure that'd be really creepy if we were witnessing the various ways your old girlfriend was touching you. That is something neither Susan or I want to be doing, as far as I know. So let's talk about the stuff.
Wait, I'm sorry, but I didn't really hear what you. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Let me turn my volume up on my phone.
Yeah, I was just basically joking and saying I'm pretty sure Susan and I would not want to have been hanging around watching the different ways you and your girlfriend touched each other. So that's private matter. We'll leave that there.
Right.
Let's talk about stuff that's more publicly available. So, as you noted, there are a lot of attempts to test psychic things, and probably some of the most famous stuff there, because it was meant to actually have some publicity behind it, was the $1 billion challenge from the James Randi Educational Foundation. And specifically there, both the organization and the claimant for the psychic phenomenon had to agree on the protocol to say, hey, here is what we're going to test. Here's what we think is reasonable if the psychic phenomenon or other paranormal phenomenon exists. Here's what would be the criteria for success or failure. And everyone agrees and basically signs that says, yes, this is what we want. Are you familiar with this sort of thing?
I mean, I've heard of similar things. Yeah. I kind of. I mean, I don't know the specifics of it. Some of the tests for this sounds like one of the papers that I actually read, where they had people come in and that were claiming to be psychic, and then were able to, and then they gave them random exercises that would prove or disprove it. But it wasn't really, like, I've never seen anybody who was actually had any kind of ability ever do any of the things that they were like trying to get them to do to prove that they were actually psychic. It was actually just kind of strange. What's that?
It has to be agreed to. The protocols from the Independent Investigation Group, which is now called the Center for Inquiries, CFI-IG, And there's other testing organizations out there in the skeptic community where you agree to a protocol. You say, I can do this under testable conditions with this much accuracy if we have these tight, this is what I need to do this. So anytime they've tried to test anybody like that, they failed. So if this was ability, if this group had an ability of any kind, there's the world would be a different world that we live in. Now, I just want to go back to you and your girlfriend for a second there. And if you're a guy, and I'm telling you that your girlfriend knew what you were thinking, because we women do have that special power.
Because she read. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, we know. We know exactly what you're thinking, and if not, we're going to lead into it. Oh, there's a cat that's entered the room. I'm sorry. Conversation's over. I can't even focus if there's a cat around. I have a cat below me, but anyway. Oh, how adorable your cat is, Erin. So what I'm saying, Draper, is that your girlfriend was reading you because you were in a close, intimate relationship, and that's normal. Women are really good at that. So just
I
throw
know.
that
I've dated lots of girls. I never. Well, no, that's not. I'm telling you that explanation doesn't cover many of the things that occurred. I promise you that absolutely is not possible that a person was reading that some of the stuff. I mean, that's what I thought at first too, and then it was posed as a possibility. But I tested that. That's definitely not what it was.
Okay, Draper. Look. Yeah. How many times have you told the stories about that you were telling us? Are we the first people that you've ever told the story to?
Maybe some of those, but I can tell you that she won't tell them to anybody. Like that's the other thing too. Every one of these psychics that I've ever met that were real they don't want anyone to know that they even are. It's like really bizarre. Like she wouldn't.
No.
So like if I see them on TV, like, you know, I doubt whether or not that's real, because
that is not real.
The ones that I've met that were real, they don't want anyone to know.
Draper, I promise there's no real psychics out there. When we tell stories, we tell them every time you tell them, it gets always embellished a little bit. And I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying that these things.
Oh no! Not only am I not embellishing, I am not even doing it justice. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize for that.
What you call embellishing. Whatever you say, it has to be bigger and better. That is literally embellishment.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow you. Say that again, bud?
If whatever you're saying is it's always bigger and better, that's literally embellishing the story. Whatever you say, it's always better than that. That is you embellishing. And this is not to be insulting towards you, but one of the things that is
no. What I'm saying is I can't do it. I can't do it justice. I'm not
expected, and we forget about the things that are amiss. And especially when it comes to psychics, you go to a psychic reading or things like that. The psychic throws out dozens of things, and you only really remember the things that really registered with you, and you're less likely to remember all those things that just kind of went by. And then if you only remember the hits, forget the misses. Oh, wow, it looks like it was an amazing performance. But stepping back objectively, if someone is recording everything they say and see, oh, the hit rate is quite low, it's more what you expect with cold reading and throwing out enough darts until you hit a target, where there are usually hundreds of targets if it's an audience. Mm-hmm. That's more the standard fare of how these kind of things work, and how the audience can convince themselves the reality of it, even when they may have actually witnessed dozens and dozens of failures on stage in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I gather that too. I mean, listen, you're not telling me nothing that I didn't already assume before I met her. You know what I mean? And you could say, well, she's just really, really clever and just could really, really, really read a person's micro expressions and can just gather and calculate data on an unfathomable level or something like that, like a mentalist or something like that. But I'm talking about like assimilating the accents of people that have been dead for years, that were from different states with weird accents, that spoke with odd language. and mimicking using the language that they use. How that's what I'm saying. It would be impossible for her to know that, right?
With my wife, and I can pick up on how she's feeling, even when she herself says she doesn't realize actually how she's feeling about a thing. That I can pick up on her emotions extremely well because we've been together for about 9 years, and you really get to know.
I hope so.
You know them that long, so even a dum dum like
Draper, come on now. Picking up on
guys, I understand your skepticism. I really do. I didn't expect to convince you, but I know what I saw.
Listen. People act, and they pick up on accents.
And I was blown away, man. What's that?
I said people do accents. They're called actors. Voice actors and all kinds of stuff. They can do that.
No. Okay. My father's a high-end accent from my grandfather's a high-end accent from when he's been dead for 12 years. This lady's never seen him. I could have not even known where he was from. Even if she did know he's from, he didn't just have that accent. Like my Uncle Steve has an Ohioan accent. My grandpa moved to Pennsylvania, like 30 years before that, 50 or whatever, and he still had a little tinge of that, and it was mixed with a Northeast PA accent. And it's like, it's not just that either. It's the specific vernacular, like words that you never heard anybody else ever say except for my grandfather. It's just weird. And she'd be talking like that. She never, what does she do? Investigate somebody why?
It's probably just cold reading.
I'm telling you, man. And listen, I'm just giving you one example. I'm just giving you one example. This happened so frequently and continuously that how do you shoot them all down? It's like I'm telling you. And look, at that point, for a rational human being to have seen what I've seen, the most logical conclusion is that maybe she's telling the truth.
So
maybe she's actually doing what she's claiming to be doing. Now, if you never saw that, if you never saw what I saw, then obviously,
Draper, I want you to pause because I just want you to know that one of the folks you're talking to here, Susan, has done some really important investigations where she is also able to tell when various psychics are doing cold and hot reading. And she's also been able to find those hot reading cases because she or one of her associates creates a fake Facebook account to put information out there to see if the psychic will pick that up and then repeat it in the performance. And I will let Susan talk about those sorts of stories because those are well documented.
Okay.
Susan, please.
Draper.
You've had one of them in the New York Times.
Yeah.
This is cold reading. So, look, you don't have a recording of these incidences that you remember clearly and that you say that there's no way they could have known.
Recording.
I assure you.
I do have one recorded. Yeah.
Okay. Send it to my email, susangerbic@yahoo.com. I'd love to look at it. But my point is what Aaron said is you're remembering things that made sense
wait, here,
to you.
tell me that again. Let me. I'm sorry. Let me write that down. What was your email?
Well, it's my name, Susan Gerbic.
Susan.
G-E-R.
Susan S-U-S-A-N?
Yeah, it should be on the screen somewhere.
I see. Your name's in the... Yeah, it is. I see it. I'm sorry. Susan Gerbic at gmail.com?
Yeah, that's fine. Gmail's fine. But my point is...
Okay, gotcha.
What is going on is probably cold reading. And that's very common. And you will not notice it unless you've been doing it years and really looking and listening to it. But
I'm like a trained hypnotist. So I know how to read that stuff. Believe me, I'm well trained in kinesthetics and reading body language and
If there's millions of dollars out there awaiting anybody who can prove it. And so far, everything that I've ever seen, and I've been doing this for years, hours and hours a day sometimes, there's nothing that's been done that I've seen that has been anything that has amazed me in any way. It's all just tricks of the mind that we do to ourselves to make sense of it. It's our brains trying to find pattern. Plus, people want to believe. Some people need to believe. And so they're going to look for this. It's a great story. And so because you're telling this story and you're calling in to tell the story, it's like a thing, So it gets probably bigger and better every time it's told. We don't have records
No.
of this. If it happens, the world would be a different world than we're in right now. And we're not living in that world. That world does not exist of people who have psychic powers, I assure you. But I'm happy to look at your video, and I will listen to it and give you my
I wish
feedback.
I could connect you with this girl, but I don't know. I mean, she's I fortunately can't give her.
She's hidden
She's
away
not cool
somewhere.
with me telling people about it. What's that?
She's
what is it?
Why are they hidden away when they could change the world?
I mean, honestly, that was exactly the same. So that's a great question. I would love to know the answer to that myself. It's like, so I'm in a community of people where we I don't want to go there, but anyways, you're absolutely right. Like, she could literally do something that I spend months with people trying to do, that I don't even have any good way to do it. And she could do it in 15 minutes if she wanted to convince somebody of something that's beyond what they believe to be true, so we can begin some powerful work. And it's like, she just won't do it. I don't know why. She just refuses. It makes no sense to me at all. She doesn't want anyone to know about it. But I will say that, like, you couldn't take the girl into a hospital without her fucking having a panic attack. Like, you couldn't even, like, it was really weird. She doesn't go in public places. She just, it's very bizarre. She's very uncomfortable and awkward around people. It's one of the strangest things. And her and I aren't exactly on good terms anymore, neither. I haven't talked to her in years, but,
well, send me your stuff. Thank you for calling in. This is very interesting, Draper. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. But send me what you got. I will take an honest look at it, and I'll let you know. But so far, it just sounds like stories and. Well,
the thing that I would tell you about another person, can I tell you about that too, or do you guys need to go? I mean, I understand if you need to get to another caller. You want to hear it? Okay. So So I'll try to be quick. It was so there was this girl. Her name is Cheryl Evans. That's her name, and she was a psychic or whatever. She did these things called Akashic records. Like I said, I'm not into none of this stuff. I don't really care. I don't give a crap. But I traded her services. I was doing past life regressions for clients there. And believe me, I didn't even believe in that crap. I was just it was just a little side hustle that I had for a while for a group of people. I was able to make money. So anyways, I did her in exchange for her to do something for that girl that I was talking about. They were going to, whatever. So while I was doing this, we go, her first life is, of course, she's a witch burned at the stake. Of course you are, you know what I mean? They all are, right? And then the next one was something about royalty. And then her third one, she goes to the future. Like, oh, of course you are, because you're a psychic. You're going to go to the future, right? So as she's sitting there talking, okay, and now when you hypnotize someone, you kind of go in a little bit of a trance yourself, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm just performing my service. I don't really care. I think this is all a bunch of Yahoo stuff. And as this is happening, I start this gets real weird, man. Her tone changes into something very strange. It was very bizarre. And then she starts like glowing blue. Okay. I swear to God, like I never saw nothing like it. I never saw nothing like it before it or after it, but there's this blue light that starts glowing off of her. Okay. I'm like freaking out. And she's talking about like buildings burning and riots. And this was in, oh man, I can't remember. It was quite a few years ago, but she went 6 years into the future. There's buildings burning, there's riots, there's civil unrest, there's like the world hasn't seen in 100 years or stuff like that. This is in the recording now, okay? And lo and behold, 6 years later, Donald Trump gets elected, and they're like, and there was civil unrest, there was buildings burning, there was riots, there was all kinds of stuff. At that point in my life, I never saw anything like that in my life in America. So to talk about that sounded absolutely ludicrous. It ended up coming true. It was very abstract and very vague. There wasn't any specificity there. But then I went and looked that up. What's that? No,
Did
she
she
didn't
say
say
you
that. No,
just
she didn't
said
say.
you just
She
said
did not
it
say
came
that. She did
true.
not say. She,
You
no,
said
no,
it
she
came
didn't
true.
say Donald.
Well, then
Well,
where
I
did you
mean,
say that
everything
it
she
came true?
said,
Why
the
didn't you warn
extreme
him?
civil unrest.
No, 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 no,
Wait, I'm
no.
sorry.
You don't get to it. These are no good. These stories are no good. If they're only good in by retrofitting it in later. This is like what's this guy, Rasputin or
I
something.
well,
Come
no. I
on
walked
now.
around thinking that in 6 years'
Where's
time
COVID?
that this
Did
is
she
going to
tell us about
happen, and
COVID?
then lo and
Did
behold,
she
6
tell us
years
about
later, it
COVID?
did.
It didn't. You
Huh?
said it did not. You just said it did not.
What?
You said
What?
you
I don't
just
understand.
said
What do you
it
mean?
had
How did I
nothing to
say
do
it did
with.
not?
You just said it had nothing to do
Ah.
with. Never mentioned Donald Trump. You
Well,
just
yeah,
said
she didn't
destruction
mention Donald Trump. She
and all
said something. Yeah, right.
that. You
Civil
are
unrest
fitting it
and
in.
buildings burning and.
You fit that in.
Well, yeah, I'm
You
fitting it in.
referenced
Well, she made a radical claim of something that we've never seen, of a state that I have
Well, then
never
she
seen the
should have
world in
told
my
us his
life.
name.
Said it would
She
be
should have
at
said
this
his name.
state in 6 years, and then in 6 years' time, it was at that state, unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. So
You're
yeah, I'd say
retrofitting
it fits the
it,
criteria. I mean, yeah, of
You're,
course, it's not a dead certainty. I can't like,
It's not
you
even
know,
slight certainty. Come on, Draper. Come on, be real.
let me test something here. You said
not
that
even
she
a
was
slight
predicting civil
certainty. I mean, now
strife.
that doesn't sound like
Is there a
skepticism.
decade
That
in
just
U.S.
sounds like
history
a
where there hasn't been
refusal.
civil strife?
I'm sorry, say that again. Have I ever?
You were saying that she was predicting civil strife. Has there ever been a decade in U.S. history where there has not been civil strife?
Somewhere in the world.
I mean, none in my. Well, yeah, the '90s. There was
Buildings burning?
the Rodney King riots.
What's the
There
possibility
was
of
the Rodney
buildings
King
burning?
riots.
Riots? We never have those.
Yeah,
We never have
yeah.
riots. I mean, that's like never
No,
heard
well,
of it.
there was
What
more
about
to it than
COVID?
just there was more to
What?
it than that. It was the civil unrest and the stuff. I mean, listen, I'll send you
That's
I'll
never
send you the
happened in the
recording and
world.
you can
We don't
take
have
it from
that
there. I mean, I haven't listened to this in like over a decade. So, or
That's what I
yeah,
thought.
it's probably been over 10 years since I listened to it myself. It's
That's
a
what
really
I'm
shitty
talking about.
recording. I could try to clean it up. What's that?
That's what I'm talking about.
But and obviously you can't see the
You've
glow and blue thing
you've
either. Now that's
You've
the thing.
forgotten.
Like you're not. It wasn't a video. Even if it was a video, I don't think it would have captured that. But but I did mention it after the recording because I saw it, and not having no knowledge of this stuff at all. I go and I look up what does it mean when a person glows blue. And then, lo and behold, when you look it up, it says a blue aura signifies a person who is receiving or transmitting information from the future. That's just an odd coincidence. You know what I mean?
No, come on.
I never knew nothing
Don't be
about that
watching
stuff.
Alex Jones. I mean, where would you get this? How do you Google that and you get with this information? Alex Jones again? I mean, come on. There's no if somebody glows blue.
No, there was
that means
there was a Chinese.
Yeah,
there's a Chinese monk. That's what the
No,
article
no,
said,
no,
or
no, no.
whatever it was that I read. There was
No,
a
no,
Chinese
no, no,
monk who was famous for something like that. I don't know who he was. Look, I'm just telling you what I read. I don't know. Maybe it was a lie.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I'm just saying,
I
it's an
can
odd coincidence. You know what? Maybe that lady put that on the internet.
And the documentation for those claims is also very suspect, especially when you say it's in Chinese.
God.
Most people can't read Chinese. It kind of hides
man,
away.
if you want to get into the Chinese stuff that science is
No,
copied.
I don't want to get into
Do you know where bioelectric energy? Do you know how we discovered bioelectric energy? Do you have any idea?
I don't even know what you mean by that. So could you be a bit more specific what you mean?
Well, bioelectric energy, the electricity that runs through the human body that tells the nervous system and neurosympathetic system how to respond. You know, like you don't know what bioelectric energy is?
I'm trying to understand what you mean, because if you're talking about, hey, if I shock someone and see that there's a current, I'm just trying to make sure if you're saying that my body is actually producing electricity and I can do force lightning versus that this is how signals go through my nervous system. We've known about the nervous system since antiquity. We had people like Theophrastus who could tell the difference between sensory nerves and motor nerves already back in like the 2nd century BC. So that is old science. If you're
Right.
talking about the relationship of electricity and the early experiments in the 19th century with, like, say, the galvanic response that
when they tried
led
to
to things
reanimate
like-
bodies. Yeah, I know. No, I'm talking about bioelectric current. So there was scientists that went in that, you know, they studied the Qigong practitioners in China who they said were doing magic. They're doing magic, and then later on they find out that the chakras that they talked about actually aligned with like organs in the body that just happen to be massive conductors of bioelectric energy. They couldn't call it chi because that means it's magic. They had to change the word to bioelectric energy.
We have evidence of chakras now. I've never. Yeah, we got evidence of that now.
Yeah, there is absolutely. I mean, are you serious? Yeah, you have the pituitary gland, you have the pineal gland, you have the thyroid gland, you have the solar plexus, you have the have the reproductive organs, and you have the base of the spine. The base of the spine. What's that?
Sure. Yeah,
we understand
I'm just saying they call them chakras.
They work chemically. They don't have magic powers, as far as we can tell.
So yeah,
I never said they did. I don't. There's no actually. Well, there's no such thing as magic powers. That would just be if I was able to shoot fire out of my hands, then there would be some kind of explanation for that is naturalistic and makes sense. Like there's no such thing as supernatural. That's just an arbitrary term that we assign things that are beyond what's familiar to us naturally. So yeah, I agree with you. Listen, I studied hypnosis, and there's trance phenomenon that they have absolutely no explanation for. There's no explanation for how that happens.
No,
like people turning invisible, and they could see things behind them. Like it's like there's no explanation for it. So they call it a pseudoscience because it's not.
They turn invisible. That's great. I love this. This is fun.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to Anton Mesmer in the, I think 1800s, would actually have someone write on a piece of paper.
Mesmer was just trying to have sex with a lot of women, and so I don't know about this turning invisible.
I don't think he was trying. I'm pretty sure he actually did.
Well, yeah, he did.
There was another man there who was investigating them, and literally Ben Franklin was one of the people investigating Mesmer and finding, no, there's no supernatural stuff going on here. It's basically a lot of the modern term.
No, you're thinking of James Braid. Actually, James Braid is who you're thinking of. He investigated Mesmer, and you're right about that. He did, and he called it hypnosis because he said it was sleeping. It's not mesmerizing. But then he later refuted his original claim and said, no, there actually is more to this than just people going to sleep. And that was James Braid,
they want to have
actually.
sex.
So,
what's that? On this show? Can I say that on this show? It was just an excuse for people to want to be able to have sex with each other and do things that they couldn't have done.
I will admit, if a girl shakes her butt in the right way, it very much places me into a hypnotic trance.
Draper, you probably should stop dating girls. You probably really should stop dating girls and start dating women. Just FYI.
What is it?
I said you probably should stop dating girls and start dating women.
Is that an attempt at an insult?
You keep saying girls. You keep saying girls.
Well,
girls to me are
girls,
are under 18.
Females.
They're under 18,
girls,
and
females,
that doesn't sound like. It just sounds kind of gross, you know. But when you start dating women, maybe we'll have a different experience with them.
Well, my girlfriend's 40, so I like. I mean, are you calling me a pedophile? Like that's.
If she's okay with that, that's okay.
I mean, that seems like that seems a bit uncalled for, wouldn't you say? I mean, did you just call me a pedophile?
You're asking another woman if she's okay with being called a girl. You're asking me. Are you trying to tell me that I should be okay?
I asked you if you're calling me a pedophile. I asked you if you just called me a pedophile. That was a direct question. Did you just call me you think that I'm attracted to little girls? Is that what you're saying? You think that I like children? You think that I like children? It just seems uncalled for. I like you.
All right, now that's where we need to use the mute button. Draper, we're trying to talk to you, but you want to just talk over us. What I believe Susan was trying to tell you is she does not like being called a girl. It diminishes her, and the fact that we live in a post-Epstein world, and we definitely know that using the word girl for woman leads to all sorts of not so good stuff. We're trying to not just be politically correct, we're actually trying to be respectful, and not to mention, not be total creeps. But I'm overstepping what Susan wants to say.
No, I'm just saying that, it's 2025. We need to get over that. We're women, not girls. So use the correct terminology, or just you're just respecting us if you're going to call all these women girls. On and on, you've talked about girls. I doubt you're dating people under 18 when you're in your 40s or whatever you are. My point is, show some respect. That's it.
Oh, go ahead and unmute you.
Hello?
All right, are we clear on that, Draper?
Huh? Yeah, but I mean, not really. I mean, I don't understand how, like, because so you guys just right here and now decided that the word girl and woman is not synonymous, and so now I'm a creep because I use those words synonymously, as does like a good portion of the general population, at least in my area, and somehow. I mean, I could use the word woman, but I don't remember calling Susan anything. I don't even know. Did I reference her in any way?
No, you're calling a whole world of women girls. I don't call people men boys.
Well, that's actually, you know what? That's fair enough. I've never met a woman who had a problem with that. I say, hey, girl. Like I walk in the room and say, hey, girls. You know what I mean? And they usually brighten up and smile and stuff like that. You know, if I'm talking to my daughter, who's a woman. My daughter's actually a woman. She's 23. So yeah, I just never heard anyone be offended by that. That's odd to me. But fair enough.
Unless they're on your friends list and you have that kind of relationship. But generally, we use the correct term, which is women, when they're of age, like 18 or over. That's general. When you have their permission to call them a girl because you would use the equivalent word boy, then fine. But the point is, you're talking over. You're not having a conversation with us. I've given you answers. I've explained to you multiple times what I think is going on, but you're not having any of it. And that's bothering me, because when you're having a conversation with somebody, you've called into us who are asking, you're asking a question and you're telling us your experiences, and we're trying to explain to you what we think is going on. And then you should be like, okay, that's great. Thank you for that information. This isn't a monologue here. The line is not a monologue. I don't know. Maybe it is. But
well,
I think
I apologize if I was.
You're not having a conversation with us. You're just telling us stories and you're not listening to what I'm saying. And then when you use the word girl, then that's just telling me that you're not listening to me at all. You have no respect for what I'm trying to say. I am telling you what is going on in my mind is that you are just, it's cold reading, and that you have memory bias. You haven't even listened to this recording in over a decade. So your memory is so perfect that you know exactly what was on it. You go back and listen to the damn thing, and I bet you anything it's a different story than what you're telling us today. People tell stories over and over and over and over, and every time they tell the story.
I'll verify it before I send it to you.
All right, fine. But yeah.
I mean, I will, and you know what? I'll even shoot you an email and say, hey, you were right. If I listen to it again and to agree with you, that's possible.
Okay,
I won't deny that. But I mean, that is still just the one instance. And listen, if I was offensive in any way, I really do apologize. That was not my intention. I never mean to cause harm to anyone. So if it's your preference that I use the word woman instead of girl, I'm happy to oblige.
So we're there already.
Yeah.
What's that?
Draper, it's probably not.
I said, welcome to 2025.
But if I can give some relationship advice, just because a woman doesn't say something or complain about something doesn't mean there's no problem. Often people
It's true for men as
because
well.
they feel like the person that they're telling this to will not respond well or even blow up. And often when there is violence involved, it makes people shut up even when they want to speak up. So I would say to be both a better psychic and a better human, try to reach out and be a bit more empathetic and look and listen for them rather than just say they haven't
I'm
said
not
something's
psychic.
wrong, therefore there's nothing wrong. So this is my
Listen
relationship advice for the day.
Listen more.
Well, thanks.
Talk
I think you're being really presumptuous, but okay, you know, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to be helpful, but for now, I think we probably want to move on to our next caller.
I think we're good. Yeah, right on.
Okay.
Hey, listen, it was great chatting with you guys. Have a good rest of your show and evening. All right, guys.
Paper.
All right.
All right.
Good night.
Okay. Bye.
Next.
One thing popped into my head when he was talking about his friend predicting 6 years into the future and that there was strife and things like that. I want to give you the best prophecy that I've seen coming true this year. Are you familiar with Octavia Butler?
Is that a politician? No.
Science fiction writer. Yeah,
No,
she's
I'm not familiar.
She's was an African American science fiction writer. She died just about 20 years ago, and one of her really famous books is called The Parable of the Sower, and it talks about in the terrible year of 2025 that fires are ravaging because of increased temperature. There is a new person elected that is, some people think he's, God, and other people say he's the devil at the same point. California is in an absolute ruckus as people are fleeing because of all sorts of strife. Rich people are going into space and getting themselves killed along the way. And there's new drug epidemics happening all over the country. When it comes to prophecies about the year 2025, I would give this one a 9 out of 10.
No, I live in California. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, but it's also just, like I say, Octavia Butler is one of the most famous and most awarded African-American science fiction writers. So her stuff, the Xenogenesis series, the stuff to check out. And just because I was listening to the audiobook of Parable of the Sower and all the stuff taking place in like late 2024, 2025, 2026, I'm like, okay, I don't read too many prophecies that come out this accurately.
But then again, you're picking and choosing yourself, dude.
True. Yes.
You
and I think when she wrote that book in the 90s, she
you are
made
in retrospect. That was funny. He's saying she predicted all this stuff. And I'm like, well, did she name Donald? He says, because of Donald Trump. And I said, did she name Donald Trump? And he says, no.
Yeah.
So how is that predicting anything? Yeah, like you said, we've never had a time where there's been burning buildings and fires and absolutely not strife. And yeah, that's just never happened. We live in a world of peace and perfect weather all the time. And there's never any fires, right?
Yes, and we've always been at war with Oceania.
Except when we're not, it depends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've always been at war with Eurasia.
New policy,
all right.
Yeah. I know that reference.
It's been a long time since I read 1984. Okay. How about we go to our next caller, and up on the list, let's talk to Frank, who has been patiently waiting. Frank, pronouns he, him, out of Georgia, wants to talk about the implications of the many-world interpretation of quantum mechanics. So, Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking my call. And I'm sorry if I'm a little off theme. I've just been looking forward to a SkepTalk where Dr. Adair was on, and I got to ask this question because it's something I've been thinking about. But I guess to be on theme for a second, I'll make a prediction. I think that that Draper's probably not going to deliver a video that's confirming evidence of these psychic things. So we'll see how good I am as a psychic.
Frank, I'm going to say
but yeah,
you're probably in the top 10 of psychics I've interacted with.
I mean, I can make another prediction. I think that in 5 years there will be war and strife, and people will be worried about the end of days. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You can change whatever the number you like, 10 years, 20 years, 150 years or something. But yeah,
Well, yeah.
sorry. Anyway, I actually really did want to talk to you about this, the many worlds hypothesis, and about like quantum wave function collapse. And I know that this is like a very weird departure from the topic, but I hope that you'll indulge me.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about like the whole theory of quantum gravity, and I know that like that there's a lot of research going on, and I'm not really up on the math for a lot of it, but one of the things that really intrigues me about the many worlds hypothesis is that it makes me wonder if space-time itself is not just sort of an emergent property of that sort of wave collapse, and that, you know, if there's that branching event in every wave collapse, that space-time isn't just sort of a density of like expanding probabilistic fields, I guess, if that makes any sense, because when the wave collapse happens, things can only move at the speed of light, right? So that the influence of that event can only happen at the speed of light in that sort of space-time region. But as space-time is getting warped, it makes me wonder if that the density of those wave collapse events, those branching events, would have sort of like a pull. Not necessarily a pull, but maybe more of like a co-expansion that creates sort of areas of density. Because one of the things about that like Einstein relativity is that like you think about gravity in less of a terms of like a force and more of just like the orientation of wherever your space-time geodesic is pointing towards. And so that just, I've been sort of noodling on this. I don't know if I'm articulating it very well, but just wanted to pick your brain about it.
Okay, so there are a few different topics that I think are happening here, and so I'm going to try to split them apart a little bit. So one of them is
Sure.
interpretations of quantum mechanics, and especially when it comes to interpreting what the Schrodinger equation means, the thing that is basically the mathematical backbone for quantum mechanics. And
yeah,
you know, the thing that you see in most of the textbooks that's been, you know, taught since pretty much Niels Bohr, you know, was pushing it, is the idea of wave collapse, that a object is not any one thing, but it is a superposition of all possibilities until you observe it, and then all of a sudden all those other possibilities just disappear and it just becomes the one singular thing. And then Schrodinger himself tries to say that that's a ridiculous thing with his idea of Schrodinger's cat, with the cat in a box, 50-50 chance that it's dead or alive because of the poison in there. And until you look, the cat is both dead and alive. And once you look at it, you either the cat is fine or it's dead. And I have to say, I'm also a little bit distracted because my cat's next to me, and I am 90% sure I just heard and smelled him fart. So I am being a little bit perturbed by my cat. So I'm going to try to stay focused. I'm going to try to stay focused.
Dogs. I have dogs, and they do that to me all the time. So I have much bigger dogs. They're Great Danes. So I can sympathize on a pretty deep level.
Yeah. All right. So the one thing though, when it so like I said, there's also then the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, Bohmian wave mechanics. Now the thing is, for the most part, all of these interpretations of quantum mechanics are observationally the same.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt, Dr. Adair? Sorry, you cut out for a moment there. Can you repeat sort of the beginning of what you were saying?
Yeah. So there are a bunch of different interpretations of quantum mechanics. There's the Copenhagen interpretations from Niels Bohr, especially the many worlds interpretation, the pilot wave theory of Bohm and de Broglie, and many others. Mm-hmm. And they're all basically observationally identical. So your choice of which one you take is in some ways more philosophical rather than experimental, at least at this point. So in many ways,
Sure.
it doesn't matter what interpretation you have in terms of like what physics experiment you'll do. There are some edge cases where we're trying to look at any subtle differences. So, for example, my understanding is there are current efforts to test basically spontaneous collapse theories, that a wave function will just randomly collapse to a single state all on its own, even without an observer. And there are at least some subtle ways to possibly look for that. I don't know the details for that. I just know that there's apparently some effort to try to see if there's any empirical evidence one way or the other for that. But like I say, for the most part, those different theories are roughly the same in terms of the math you do and the measured observations you can do, for the most part. So when it comes to ideas about gravity or space-time emerging from quantum mechanics, that question can be talked about pretty independently of your interpretation of quantum mechanics. So it's not like all the many worlds people say, oh, space-time emerges from quantum mechanics, and then the Copenhagen people are like, no, rah, 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 rah. You have people on all these sides, and there's no real consensus about any of this, for better or for worse. And I say for worse because I wish physicists would get their story straight on all this. But for better, it means, hey, more work for us to do, more research for us to do, more things for us to investigate. The universe is still strange and wonderful and worth exploring. Nonetheless, there are all sorts of ideas of trying to treat the idea of space and time as not fundamental, but possibly emerging from some other more fundamental thing. And so instead of taking gravity and trying to make it quantum, have quantum and have gravity pop out of it. In some ways, string theory does that on its own, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's kind of it's sort of related to what I'm thinking, and I guess when I talk about the many worlds, I'm really more thinking about like the wave collapses as being like a branching event that sort of has this expansive property, but that might be an oversimplification. But each of those sort of separate events would have their own sort of causal chains and different kinds of interactions that they would necessitate. And so it would just be basically like, kind of like this chain reaction, right, of all of these fundamental interactions collapsing and sort of emerging with their own sort of dimension of space-time. And that would have like a warping effect because the amount of co-interactions or chain reactions would be denser in regions that had more stuff. So that is kind of like the mental model that I'm working with. I'm not a physicist. I'm a computer scientist. So like this is a little out of my area, but it's just something that I enjoy noodling on. So I don't want to take too much of the time, but I just wanted to ask a little bit about it. I don't know if that has any particular merit on the discussion, or if there's anything that you want to add to that.
Well, I'll just say, having the conversation about it definitely has merit. It doesn't have to be psychics, and in fact, the less we mix quantum mechanics and pseudoscience, the better, because quantum mechanics gets abused by that. So having conversations about the real science rather than, oh, I'm sending out a wave function from my brain so the universe gives me a new car. It's like, please, I don't want to keep having this conversation.
No. That's not the angle that I was going for. And I, like I said, I thought that I was probably a little off theme when I started, but
no.
Yeah,
All
I just
good,
wanted
Frank.
to
All good.
pick your brain about it.
Yeah. I have to say, this is definitely not my area of research, so I do not have great insight there. But
Okay.
there is, like, everyone is trying to work on some way of making quantum mechanics and, or more specifically, quantum field theory and general relativity play well together and have new fancy predictions so we can understand, the fundamentals of reality, because that would be awesome. I'm unfortunately not working on those sorts of things. I don't know enough to say what are the best avenues for it. What I can say is it's a world of opportunity. One might even say it's a many worlds of opportunity.
Nice. I was just really, actually, the thing that I guess I was hoping to drive at is like what what kind of implication that would make, what kind of prediction that would make. And maybe that's an unknown, but I haven't had the ear of a physicist to bounce something from. So,
yeah. And like I say, when it comes to the various interpretations of quantum mechanics, at least for the most part, they're all making the same sorts of things that we could go and observe. We can't observe the wave function directly. We can only see the results of after the particles interact. And I would not be surprised if you could get gravity to emerge from quantum mechanics on either classical interpretations from Niels Bohr or many worlds interpretation or other ones. Often it's the case that, just add another equation on top and, sort things out in the ways you need, again, to match observation. So I don't know if we can distinguish it in that sort of way. Now, it would be awesome if we would say, if we start from a many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and from there you can get, like, say, space-time and the fundamental forces. If you could show that pops out from that interpretation, everyone would say, holy shnikes, you got something there, Frank. You got something there quite awesome. I don't have that. I don't know anyone else who does. And there's a lot of smart people working on it. So, Frank, if you can spend less time on that computer and more time learning tensor mathematics, you might be able to help us.
Get a puppy.
Yeah, I think I got to become independently wealthy enough to not need my salary anymore, to go full academic. And no, I don't mean to be rude. I just I've got a job that I'm actually qualified for, and astrophysics is not something that I have, quite paid for yet as far as my my academic degree. So I would have to go back and do a lot of work. But anyway,
I understand
I appreciate your time.
In your situation, in that I work private sector, and then my physics research is basically a side hustle.
Oh, that's great. I mean, yeah, if I could ever swing that, that would be amazing. I would, I'd be interested in figuring out what the path of that looks like. But yeah, just, I guess one of my parting thought is just, I've always found the idea that photons don't experience time really fascinating. And it feels like that, like the idea that the photon that was emitted in the cosmic microwave radiation is instantaneously hitting my eye from its perspective has always been like that little mind-bendy thing that makes me think that, like, there's something about these little quantum fluctuation events that time seems to be like a backwards formation of, and I always found that really neat.
Oh yeah. Time gets really messed up when you start thinking about light. That's why Einstein started thinking about it. If I could further bend your mind with it, though, not only does light not experience the passage of time as it travels through space, it also doesn't measure any distance between its starting and ending point. So that photon emitted at the reionization point of the universe, roughly 13 billion years ago, the distance it sees traveling from that atom that it left to your eye, it measures as exactly 0 meters. And it took 0 seconds to make that travel. Everything is nothing. Everything is next to each other, and time does not exist. Space does not exist for the photon. It is already at its destination.
Exactly. And that like I said, I think that what that says to me is that these fundamental particles are not, they're not doing the time. I think that it's a backwards formation. But that's just, my amateur perspective. So I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to look into some of the stuff and hopefully watch the video of this, and maybe have another conversation with you in the future. I learn a little bit more.
Okay. If I may, though, recommend, because I'm definitely not going to be explaining things well, if you want someone who will articulate these things really well, the physicist Sean Carroll has written several books all related to
Sean Carroll.
Yeah.
I was expecting that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I was just.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just that I have a physics degree. He has a physics brain. So please listen to the physics brain telling you really what's going on, because he's at the forefront. He's actually participating in this way more than I am. I am a spectator compared to what he does, and he is really good at explaining things.
Well, I feel like that I've been trying to express myself as a bit of a Sean Carroll homunculus here. So I appreciate your patience with me, because I really do enjoy reading and listening to Professor Carroll. So I'll let you guys get back to the woo-woo stuff, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I understand it's just a jump to the left and a step to the right. Put your hands on your hips. Sorry. I wanted to be able to say
All right,
something.
No,
we have
we
to let
can
you go
pelvic
before we get a
thrust
copyright
on our own
strike.
time. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks
Good
for
night.
calling in, Frank.
All right. So that was a good call, but the bad news is we did have one more caller, but it looks like they have dropped, and they wanted to talk about
We
if there
could
is
channel them.
truth in woo.
We could pretend. I can pretend they're here, and I can make a voice. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm calling in from France, and I have a question. I could do
Let
that.
me see if I can ring them up. Hold on. Hello. Yes. Yes. I'm
You
coming
did
to
it
you
well.
from the dream world, where everything is possible. But is it true? Susan, what say you?
It's live and dead at the same time. I tell you, those talks, those conversations. I know that Frank really wanted to talk to you. That was great. I'm sure that was informative.
Well, when it comes to quantum mechanics, it's very much scratching the surface. There is, it's an amazing topic in the fact that it's not just science. It is extremely precise science. The best way that I've seen to show how amazingly precise quantum field theory is, it's a measurement of this one particular property of the electron when it's in the hydrogen atom. It's called the anomalous magnetic moment. And the reason it's anomalous is that we looked at it, it's like, well, we expected to just have a simple value of 2. And it's like, well, but it's not. And why is that? Is because literally the space around the electron is giving the electron kicks, because things are just popping in and out of existence from the vacuum itself. And you think, well, there's just a bunch of random stuff. How do you make predictions? This is where quantum field theory comes in, and Feynman produces these nice diagrams to allow us to actually visualize, quote unquote, what's going on, and it makes it a bit easier to do the math. And when we do the math, we can predict how large this anomaly is, down to, if memory serves, the 15th decimal place. And we've been able to experimentally verify that this calculation is accurate down to the 13th decimal place. And this is like knowing the distance from my chair here in the greater Boston area to a spot in Trafalgar Square in London, down to a level of precision, down to the thickness of a human hair. It's almost like these science people know what they're doing.
You know that James Randi was a good friend of Feynman.
Yes.
They were very good friends, and Randi was managed to fool him quite a bit. You know the story about him with the cutlery.
I have some vague recollections of Feynman talking about it, but none of the details are in my head.
Do we have another caller coming in?
No, go ahead. Please give the story.
Okay, I'll tell the story because I can tell the story. So James Randi, the amazing Randi, he was good friends with Feynman. And what he said is that he was going to go in. Where was Feynman? Was he in Arizona? I think he was in Arizona. Yeah, I think it was Arizona.
I think
so. He was flying in to go visit him. So Feynman drives up in his big convertible car and takes Randy's luggage, sticks it in the back seat, and they said, "Let's go have lunch." So they go to this Mexican restaurant that Feynman loves. So they go into the Mexican restaurant and sit down in this table, just this table by the window, and Randy manages to bend some spoons. And Feynman says, there's no way you could have done that because you didn't even there's no way. You didn't even have a chance to prep them or anything. And Randy's like, well, they're bent. So, there. And so they have their visit. Everything's fine. Randy, a day or two or whatever, goes home. And Feynman says, I'm gonna figure this out, but I'm gonna call you. And Randy was living in New Jersey at the time. And this is so typical Randy. He says, I'm only going to answer yes or no questions. So you have to ask me, and then I will answer you with a yes or no. So Feynman calls him at like what's equivalent to 2 a.m. for Randy. And he says, did this, da, da, da. And he asks him a question. And Randy says, no. And he goes, okay, I'll call you right back. And he hangs up. And that's the story. I mean, I know how he did it. Do you want to know how he did it or no?
Please, yes. Reveal the secrets.
Okay, so what he does, if you follow the whole story, is how he managed to do it is Randy came in a day early. And then he took he came in, arrived early, and then he told Feynman that he was arriving like on a Wednesday, but he actually showed up on a Tuesday. So Randy goes back to the airport, puts a bunch of heavy stuff, books and stuff into his luggage, and he has Feynman put him in the back seat of the car. So what Randy had already done is showed up at the restaurant that he knew that they would go to and talked to the wait staff and said, here, use these spoons. And Randy had already prepared them. And so when we show up, I want you to set these spoons in front of Feynman when we comes in. And Feynman just never figured it out, I guess, because, he's dealing with protons and things that don't cheat and things like that. Randy always said that the easiest people you could fool were children and scientists, because they don't know, they're not used to things, petri dishes, lying and cheating and doing things like that. So Randy was going to write a book called The Magician in the Laboratory. He was working on it for like 12 years, and the story is that they tried to hire Penn and Teller tried to hire some people to actually edit the book, but the book is so much that it would take, there's no way you could really edit it down. I'm hoping someday that book will come out, but Randy used to fool a lot of scientists because they're not thinking like human beings who want to cheat and fool you.
Well, that's not
I like
totally
the part where
true
he
because
says, I'll call you right back.
yeah.
And Randy's like, wait a minute, I can't go back to sleep if I think you're going to call me right back.
Mind you, though, I don't think it's quite true when it comes to scientists not expecting to be fooled, because, as you know, you can't trust atoms; they make up everything.
Have you ever heard the term painting the mouse?
No.
I wrote the Wikipedia page for the guy who originated it. It was a scientist. His name is Williamson, I think. Anyway, he had they were trying to take skin off of a person and graft it onto another person and to be able to grow it on and have it do a good job and stay. So what he was doing is they'd take rats that were black and they'd take a rat that was white, and then they would take the little skin off of it and they'd try to graft it onto the opposite color and to see if it grafted really well. And so what this guy did is he used magic marker felt pens, and he was found out. He was a scientist, and his research students realized that it like rubbed off, and so the phrase painting the mouse has become known for science fraud. That's the phrase you would use to show that we're talking about science fraud. The guy had, I think, a breakdown, and he was really just in bad shape, and he just was under a lot of pressure, and he did it and went into obscurity. But I wrote his Wikipedia page. Very interesting. Poor guy. I felt really bad for him. But if anybody's heard the phrase painting the mouse, that's what it means. Where it comes from.
Which also leads into the thing I want to remind everyone, that Susan is the mastermind behind the cabal of guerrilla skeptics and the team of Wikipedia editors to try to get topics on there accurate, especially as they pertain to things with science and pseudoscience. So, Susan, you want to make another call to the audience for action?
We're always looking for editors, but you need to be on Facebook. It's the only place we can find that we can really gather and do our training. All the training is self-paced. It's done over Google Documents and a secret cabal. It is secret, so don't tell anybody. But yeah, you can't just get into the secret cabal. So you got to friend me on Facebook, message me, and let's have a conversation. I'll give you a pre-training exercise you have to go through. But training's going to take about 4 months because we're going to turn you into an awesome Wikipedia editor, working with a cabal of people located all over the world in all kinds of languages that are trying to repair Wikipedia, maintain Wikipedia, trying to get it to be the best it possibly can. So all those second graders out there can plagiarize their heart's content when they need to do their science experiments and learn about awesome people and learn about things like painting the mice, painting a mouse, painting the mice. Yeah, I think it's painting the mouse. You guys got to Google that. And when you Google it, you will probably get the Wikipedia page that I wrote, because Wikipedia is awesome and it is fueling everything. It is everywhere, even if you don't use it. Trust me, you're using it without knowing you're using it.
Very, very true. All right. So
and I think I've already gotten a couple friend requests already.
Oh, Susan has lots of friends. You heard you're first.
I like friends. I love friends. Come and talk to me. But yeah. So there's nobody else who wants to talk to us. We're done for the night. I really had a good time.
Oh, yeah. Well, the lines are closed, but we do have a number of super chats that are in. So $5 super chats and up, we will read. So I'll go ahead and read the first one. And we got a £5 super chat from Mystic Mind Analysis. Explain like I'm
they're
five.
asking me this. They're asking me this one, right?
Well, basically, we'll go back and forth and reading them and then responding as needed.
No,
sometimes they're questions, sometimes they're bad puns.
This is a question to me about the Big Bang.
All right.
I knew it.
All right, but explain like I'm five. Was the Big Bang an expansion of matter within condensed spacetime or spacetime itself? It's difficult to comprehend. It's more that spacetime itself is the thing that's expanding, and then all the stuff in spacetime is then allowed to spread out. We often give the analogy of a balloon or a stretching rubber band as being the spacetime itself stretching, and so everything that's on that rubber band, the space between those points stretches out. So that is what we're trying to say with Big Bang expansion.
I would say that it is difficult to comprehend. That's our brains kick ass. They're awesome.
All right, go ahead and read this one.
Okay. Hey, Joshua Everett, 9887. I'm looking at you. Thank you for your $5 donation. If I'm a ghost, can I go to space or solve mysteries with quirky teenagers? I'd be okay with either or both. I like how he capitalized the word both. Yeah, you can go to space. That's cool. Space is all over the place. Yeah. I think that'd be great. Scooby snacks for everyone. Thank you, Joshua.
Jinkies. Yeah. All right. So you got £5 from Jessica87. We in the Discord are still alive and strong. We demand our rights. Hashtag Discord Lives Matter. Hashtag go feck yourself, Jimmy. I believe that's not how you spell the fuck word. Thank you very much. We are a good family show and we use the swear words completely. Thank you. Hashtag give us our Zerba emoji in chat. There's an inside joke. One of our hosts, Forrest Valkai, drew a picture of this really derpy looking zebra, called it Zerba, and now he has a family. The legend continues to grow. I cannot explain all of it, unfortunately. But they want a Zerba emoji in the chat and hashtag love you soon. Why not love us now? Love us now. I need love now. I'm so scared.
Yeah. Hey, watch out. The person, you called her Jessica. I'm just saying, watch out, because those people give away an awful lot of information for those psychics. I'm telling you, I have a feeling I know what year you were born. Oh, my turn. Hey, yes. $10 from Raza Village. Raza Village, thank you so much. Thank you for having a show oriented towards skepticism. As a former conspiracy theorist, I can warn John that all the conspiracy theories run together and he will never find the big secret answer. Well, maybe that's what he's looking for. John just wants to live forever. and says, I don't ever want to come up with a solution, so I'm going to keep going to conspiracy theories. I think it's a sad and lonely life to be into conspiracy theories, to be honest with you. I think it's just, and nobody wants to talk to you at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird with conspiracy theories that everything's connected and all the groups are very fragmented as well at the same time.
I think it's really sad. I think it's sad, and I think that go get a puppy.
Yeah, come to the side of science. We have cookies. All right.
Yeah.
$9.99 from Outwitted by Fish. I have detected a conspiracy so vast and all-encompassing that I, myself, am the only person who is not involved. But you do that. Indeed, Mr.
I've been
Fish
outwitted by a
outwitted me.
fish. Yeah, I've been outwitted by a fish. That's scary.
The orcas.
So long, and thanks for all the fish. Okay, hey, $10 for Sapic Hazard. Orange kitty. Woo! Always forever. And there's an orange kitty emoji. I have kitties below me, but she's so arthritic she can't get up on my lap. Her name is Imogen. Just
And
saying,
since people
we're
are
a kitty.
asking,
Oh, look at the beautiful kitty over there.
yep, he's sitting on the
Kitty.
chair. His name is
I have a
Venus.
chicken. Venus. I have a chicken and a teddy bear. That's Edgar over on my chicken list over there.
Katie, do you want to answer the super chat? No, because you're an indifferent cat. Okay.
Yeah, my cat's can
All
no
right.
longer. We can't get up on a chair anymore like that.
All right. So we got $6.99 Canadian from Maureen O'Hara 1369. Which mythical creature would you like to be real? I'm guessing Aaron might say Godzilla. I'd like to see the monad. All right. So as much as I would like to say Godzilla, it begs the question, which version of the kaiju? Are we going to talk about the original one from the 1954 film? Are we going to be talking about the MonsterVerse version that's here in the US? Are we talking about the 1998 TriStar disaster that they made here in the US? We're going to talk Godzilla Earth from the anime where the thing is 300 meters tall. We get to pick and choose our Godzillas. But here's the thing. Godzilla loves us all equally. Stomp, stomp.
I'd go with one of those Harry Potter ones. Man, they got some awesome. The ones where you have to, they're invisible. They move the carriages along. I've forgotten what they're called all of a sudden. You can only see them if you've seen Death. I think those would be pretty awesome. Oh, hey, $5 from Fiona the Foxy. Hey, Susan, preach. Women are women, not girls, not females in a derogative way. I hate it every time I hear it. Hey, more power to you, Fiona the Foxy. I tell you that it gets on my nerves. We're in 2025, and it's always these men who say, "Oh, I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings," but no, we know what's going on. Learn, come on, grow up.
I wonder, Susan, if you would enjoy being on our Tuesday show, Chewed Gum, which is the women's show about women's issues.
Hey, let me tell you, I know those chewed gum ladies, and they kick ass, boy, I tell you. But let me tell you, psychic work, all the stuff with psychics, I could talk for days on the harm that's happening to women. It is all women oriented. If you want to talk psychics and the harm to women, shoot ding, put me on. Let's go. I'm here tomorrow. Any day.
That sounds awesome to me, but I'll let the producers do the magic.
I can't stand bubble gum. Gum grosses me out. But I know what you're talking about. It's that old religious thing where, you're not supposed to be, like if you have sex with another man or sex with people, then you're just chewed gum. But just the idea of bubble gum just freaks me out.
Well,
sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what can happen there, but I'll let the producers do the hard work because I'm too lazy to make that happen. What I'm not lazy to do is read this €10 super chat from Eric Trumpler 9652. There's a quantum scientist named Daniel Oblick at the University of Calgary studying ultra-weak photon emissions which surround living things. Care to comment? I know absolutely nothing about this. I wouldn't have an intelligent comment to make. I'm sorry. I don't know the scientists. I do not know the work.
Right. I don't know them either. All right. Hey, $20 from The Riz Darwin. Thor versus Darwin. Ah, thank you. I got it now. $20 from Thor versus Darwin. I was wondering if light was instantaneous. Where can that info be found? Try checking Wikipedia
Um,
or
you
look
might
under
have to
your
go to
desk.
different.
It's probably
You might
under
have
the
to go to
desk.
different tutorial pages, but here's the fundamental thing: the when we're saying light is instantaneous, we have to talk about from what point of view. Because, for example, we say, well, the sun is about 8.5 light minutes away from Earth. So a photon, as we would measure it, would take about 8.5 minutes to travel from the surface of the sun to the surface of the Earth. But from the point of view of the photon, things are different. So this is one of the issues with special relativity, is that we agree on what the speed of light is, but we don't agree on what our watches and meter sticks say. So from the point of view of the photon, you can look at the equation for time dilation, and you'll see that it goes as t divided by the square root of 1 minus, and then it's v squared over c squared, where v is the velocity you're going, c is the speed of light. So if your velocity were c, that's then c divided by c, which is 1. Then you have 1 divided by 1, which is 0. And then you're dividing by 0. Yeah, if I'm thinking this things correctly. So basically, that's when the bad things happen. When you start multiplying and dividing by 0, that's when the bad stuff happens. So ultimately, you can look at the limit of what happens as you approach the speed of light, and you see that time stops. So for a photon that actually goes at the speed of light, it experiences no time. You do the same thing with the equation for length contraction. And lo and behold, it also shows, oh, the length between objects is 0 from the perspective of something going the speed of light. So when in doubt, grab yourself an equation and then graph it and see what happens.
That's a really good video on explaining this. They showed Einstein's theory, the train moving by, and if you're the person on the train, you see time differently than the person who's standing on the station, who's as the train goes by. And if lightning were to hit the person right next to the person, how would the anyway? It was really interesting. I like that kind of explanation. It makes sense. I would check that out. Oh, my turn. Hey, $10 from Joshua Everett, 9887. Isn't that interesting how they always put the numbers in there? Again, a lot of it gives away their. You guys tell me. Put another one in here. Does this have anything to do with your birthday? Just saying. Aaron. Hey, Aaron. I was thinking of something with a proton talk. If you had a perfect hollow sphere, a sphere with a perfectly reflective internal surface, what would happen to a single proton placed inside? Just a single one. Would it be Schrodinger's cat? Would it be alive? Would it know about time? Would it understand how to do the time warp? Does it jump to the left and a step to the right? Right.
So I'm going to think this through, and I'm going to give you something even more fun to think about here. Let's assume not only do you have a perfectly hollow sphere with perfectly reflective surfaces, but let's also make the sphere completely massless. Because I want to do some mind-blowing stuff. Because, yeah, the photon is going to just bounce around in there infinitely, and it's just going to be like stuck in that box. Now, here's the interesting thing. Ask yourself the question. The sphere itself has no mass, as I've said. The photon has no mass because we know light is a massless thing. What happens when you try pushing on the sphere? And the thing is that when you actually do the math, is you will find out that by pushing on the sphere, you are then having a momentum transfer to the light, and it will also push back. Even though the system itself has no mass, it will apparently have mass as you try to push it, and it resists that motion. We can actually understand how mass emerges from massless things when they are bound. There's a really good video on PBS Spacetime from a few years ago doing the thought experiment with a perfectly reflective massless box with a photon inside. When you push it, you are then squishing the photon there. You are changing its wavelength. There's an energy, there's a momentum transfer, and so you feel a force back just from Newton's third law, from momentum conservation. So even though the thing was massless, you feel it pushing back, and you realize, holy shnikes, you just discovered the origins of mass.
He gets so excited. That's so cute. It's so cute. Aaron is adorable, isn't he? He gets so
Nerd.
happy. I think it's adorable. And I think your cat thinks so too.
Occasionally he thinks so. All right,
Fantastic.
so that seems to be all the chat for this evening.
Coming in? I don't see anything.
Katie,
I don't see
want to have one
anyway.
back, Hurrah? The
Are you
audience
in your
wants to see-
pajamas?
Oh, yes, because they're comfy. Kitty, want to wave goodbye? No, I don't. I have to be careful
You have to be careful.
because I've tried to do this before, and in particular, I was doing a language lesson. I was holding up my cat so my tutor could see him, and he bit my arm as hard as he possibly could. He was literally dangling from my arm when doing that, and I had to go to the hospital for that one because public service announcement: cat bites are highly infectious because cats have basically hypodermic needles for teeth. They are going to break your skin. Whatever bacteria is on your skin or on your teeth are going to be stuck in there. You can almost be guaranteed that you're infected. Go to emergency care and get a tetanus shot, get antibiotics, because you are 99% likely to have been infected. Even
Yeah,
if
don't
he's
be
a
The
doing
good
that.
more
kitty.
you know.
Yes, he's a good kitty most of the time. Yes, you are. I said you are. Stop
Yeah,
being bad.
mine's got arthritis, and if you touch her in the wrong place, she freaks out. I mean, her body just goes into just freaks. So everybody has to be warned she can't be touched in any part lower than her neck. But yeah, she's bit me. I didn't go to the hospital. Maybe I'm infected. Maybe that explains my behavior.
Well, when I say infected, I mean I could literally see the veins in my arms starting to change colors because they were showing the infection signs. So, literally, the doctor was
Oh,
like taking out a marker and saying, "Yep, we can see how far the infection is spread. Here's a prescription. Go get that filled out."
you might have had special powers after that. You never know. You might have actually become like more cat-like. You would have been able to jump up on top of your bookcases or something and do all sorts of things that orange cats do. You never
Okay,
know. You
let's test. Cat powers. Meow. Meow. Nope, not working. Maybe next time. Maybe next time on Skip Talk.
oh dang. Okay, let me put my
All right.
glasses back on so I can see what time it is. Are you guys going to tell me that we have to leave? Okay, I
Yeah,
guess.
we are wrapped up for this evening. So, Susan, again, thank you for coming on tonight, chatting with our callers, our crew, mods, screeners. Thank you for making this flow correctly. Again, reach out to Susan if you want to do stuff with Wikipedia and Gorilla Skeptics. Patrons, thank you for supporting us. Thank you all so much.
Patreon.com/calltheline. Go there. Pay us money. Thank you.
Patron, woo! We're not going to dance.